Welcome everyone to Watch More Football. This is the brand new Genreverse Sports YouTube channel. It's brand new, we've just created it and this is going to be the first video that's on it. We are part of the Genreverse family, which means if you go and check out the main Genreverse YouTube channel, you'll find all our usual entertainment news, reactions, reviews, all the kind of videos that people love on there as well. My name's Cam Clark. I'm your host of this show. I'm also a senior editor at lrmonline.com. Please go and check that out for all written entertainment news, reviews, all that stuff, geek news, rumours. We've got all that covered on there as well. So, what is this? This is a football podcast that is essentially focused on the English Premier League and the teams that are involved in the English Premier League and the competitions that they will do, whether those be in Europe or domestic competitions as well. I said my name already. We've also got some other guys here, friends of mine. So I'm going to introduce you to them. We've got Dave, who is a Chelsea fan. Say hi, Dave.
Hello, everyone.
We've got Mick, who's a Newcastle United fan. Say hi, Mick.
Hi, Mick.
I knew he was going to do that. I just knew he was going to do that. And then Ryan, who's a Man United fan.
Hi. I was going to do hi, Mick, as well.
You were going to do hi, Mick. Well, it's hi, Mick from everyone then. I'm actually a Newcastle United fan as well. Boo, I know, sorry. But so there's two of us here. And this podcast will absolutely have all our biased views as fans of these clubs. Do not expect reasoned, well explored, and unbiased views. That's just not going to happen. How this began is we all met just over a decade ago on a video game forum, and instead of talking about video games, we decided it would be more fun to argue with each other about football instead. And 10 years later, we're now a WhatsApp group that just discusses the English Premier League and everything that happens in it every week and slag each other off. So that's what the podcast is essentially about. We're going to look at all the results that have happened at the weekend, the big talking points, predictions that we think are going to happen for the rest of the season, and we'll look at some games that are coming ahead as well. So the first place for us to really start then is the results for this weekend. So, producer Kyle, if you could bring up the results page for the weekend's fixtures, please. So, guys, I'm just going to go through these kind of one by one in the order that they're in and just get any kind of views for you on the kind of results and what you expected. Forest beat Villa 2-0. What do we think of that?
Okay, I don't know.
Fantastic result.
Yeah.
They have a good home record, though, don't they, Forest, at the moment?
It's
No,
all right, isn't it? You know,
They're a hard team to beat in
there.
And Villa are the sort of team, the way they play, they either absolutely batter who they're playing or they get battered themselves. So it's, yeah.
They've kind of got that style where if a team knows how to get at them, they can get at them, don't they? But still,
the first game of the season
result. Yeah, I do remember that one very, very fondly. But I mean, since that game, though, Villa have actually went on and done well. They're sitting above Newcastle on the table. You know, I mean, they're looking as if they're in hunt for the kind of top five. So they're a solid team. So it was a bit of an unexpected result, eh?
But yeah, Emery's done a brilliant job there. But can he sustain it in the league? Because he couldn't at Arsenal. But was Arsenal doing a good job from
Arsenal?
No, he didn't. But he's doing really good there. But I see him more of a knockout football manager, if you know what I mean. He's brilliant in the cups.
He's going to win the Conference League with them as well.
He's been excellent since he's come in.
He
absolutely. You could see Villa winning the Conference League this year. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
No, I wouldn't.
Because
if West Ham can do it last year, they can do it
easy games, you know, and just play their top team in the league every week, get a good league position, and then, you know, once the knockout competition comes along, they can start playing a stronger team. So,
yeah.
Anyway, Luton drew with Liverpool 1-1. That was a surprise result. Literally one of the smallest teams ever to be in the Premier League. So
you can't be annoyed. You can't be annoyed at it because of who scored Liverpool's goal.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know. Right. I know.
And at the time that he scored it as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A proper kick in the teeth for Luton. They were so close.
It was though. But I mean, you can't look at the game as a whole and say like Luton deserved 3 points for that game, though. Can you really?
I
you know.
I don't know,
just
'cause
say,
it was.
sorry, Chelsea have just scored. It's 1-1.
Oh,
Don't like Spurs. So
Who scored, Mick?
Sterling.
Goodbye.
oof, shocker. He's the only one that does score for you guys, though. Sorry, what were you saying about Liverpool? I think you were going to, as a Man United fan, you were going to have a dig at Liverpool.
Oh no, nothing like that. I was going to say everyone was talking about Luton's ground, which is built into a block of flats, and how that was going to be a bit of a leveler, which hasn't really happened. And I think yesterday, because it was one of the first big boys that came round, it was the first time that it happened all season. And I think they gave as good as they got. It was they had a limited game plan, but it was effective.
Keeper made some good saves as well.
Yeah.
It was just
Trent had an awful time all night and all that sort of thing. So
yeah. Anyway, next one, Fulham 0, Man United 1. Obviously, your team, Ryan. So start with your opinions.
I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. I'm sort of the way the season's gone. I'm not really. And any result is not really an indicator of where United are. I mean, the main
an
things.
Important result though, if not performance.
Yeah, I mean, he needs a win. Yeah,
beat.
he needs a win definitely. Yeah. The main things for that is United pretending that Harry Maguire wasn't concussed when he was clearly concussed. He was staggering around like he'd just come out of a nightclub. And the other one was Rashford didn't play at all. United saying he was injured. But equally, in the press conference before, Ten Hag had a go at him for celebrating his birthday at a pre-planned party after the Derby defeat.
So do you think it was a discipline issue, maybe?
Yeah, so he criticised him and said it was unacceptable, but that was after he'd named him on the bench for the cup tie against Newcastle. So it's a bit weird. I think he's
brought him on.
Maybe, yeah. So I think he's maybe there's no way he only found out about that on Thursday. So I think he's.
It didn't go well that cup tie.
It didn't. No. Yeah.
Chelsea's goal disallowed handball.
Well, there you go. Still 1-0 to Spurs. They're still flying high.
I think
as you can imagine, folk that are watching, we are recording this while the last game of this weekend's fixtures is on, Chelsea versus Spurs. So we may give you some running commentary on it, but really, we can't really discuss it at the moment because it's happening while we're running. All right, so yeah, Man United still don't look any better, but it's a good result at the end of the day. But really, Fulham need to be beating these mid-table sides, don't they?
I've got to say, it's one of those games where if the other team have an active part to play in the game, it tends to get overblown against United. It's not like Fulham played United off the pitch. It's just they had some of the ball and therefore United were crap. And it's
I actually thought it was a poor
United
game
weren't brilliant at all, but Fulham weren't any good.
I thought in the second half Fulham were really unlucky not to score.
They had lots of chances. Yeah,
they had loads of chances.
I called it. I said this has got 1-0 United written all over it.
Yeah, you did.
And equally, it could have gone a lot differently if that McTominay goal had stood at the start.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and I think with the way the confidence in the squad is at the minute, that sort of setback it put heads down and they couldn't really get out of it. And they're very much sort of confidence team. If things are going well, it's brilliant. But if something goes wrong, then everyone sort of loses it a bit.
Yeah, they are very much a confidence team. It's worth discussing another time for sure when we're focusing on them a bit more.
Just give Ten Hag a couple of more weeks in this position, I think.
Then do you think he's going to get sacked, Mike? Like, genuinely, does anybody actually think he will get sacked?
Start, if you look back through the predictions at the start of the season, I said Ten Hag would be the first one to be sacked.
Has anybody been sacked? No.
I mean, I don't. No one's been sacked yet.
Lopetegui? Is it Lopetegui or something from Wolves?
No,
he left.
He left before
the season hadn't actually started. It was like Gary O'Neill came in the second. I think the first game they played with a caretaker or something, and Gary O'Neill came in.
No, Gary O'Neill was in for the first game. He came.
Was
in
he?
Like the week
there you go. But it was maybe 24 hours before it or something like that. Yeah.
I don't think Ten Hag's immune from getting sacked, but I just don't see the point in sacking him, to be honest, because it's
not before Jim Ratcliffe.
He's doing some weird things at the minute, but what's going wrong is not really down to him, I've got to say.
what's going wrong on the pitch is down to him, though. He's the manager. He's the one that coaches them. He's the one that should be getting the it right on the pitch at the end.
Every manager for the last 3-4 managers hasn't been able to get a tune out of these guys. So I start to wonder.
I think he's fighting too many fires at the minute to do any actual coaching.
All right, what about let's move on. Brentford 3, West Ham 2. I don't think you can call that a surprise result, can you?
I'm not surprised.
Brentford can beat anyone, but
West Ham
have had a good start to the season.
Yeah, they did one bad week where they think they had they were terrible in midweek, terrible at the weekend, and then they kind of came back strong again. They just put Arsenal at the EFL Cup as well. So
yeah. It was since they got beat off Olympiacos, they had a little bit of a dip, and then obviously they beat Arsenal, but then they're just getting beat again.
Brentford can beat anybody in the day, though, can't they?
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
The goal from Kudus for West Ham was really good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Sort of over the shoulder bicycle kick sort of thing.
He's a good player.
But West Ham just couldn't deal with the crosses from Brentford at all.
It was 2 late goals as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
West Ham were winning most of the game.
Crosses causing chaos.
Yep, never write Brentford off.
Oh, what a finish.
1-1 with Brighton. That was maybe one of the most surprising results of the weekend.
Yeah. Brighton are in a bit of a dip, aren't they?
Brighton aren't really coping with the
for European fixtures.
With Europe, and obviously they've lost a couple of players as well. And not
everyone
just thought that Brighton had this conveyor belt of players, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that they would just keep going. It's starting to look like that, isn't it? Like those players that they've lost.
I think that they're still a good side, but it's a bit like Villa. They're either going to absolutely batter a team or they're going to struggle. And Everton are sort of similar in that they play well but don't get the results, but occasionally it comes together for them.
They're nowhere near relegation candidates this year.
I think everyone else is way too bad to. Is this one getting chalked off as well, Mick?
Yeah, looks like it.
So Caicedo's just scored for
Caicedo's just scored for Chelsea, but it's good.
Well, even these, as we said, even these chopped off goals can have an impact. I don't think we need to talk about City beating Bournemouth 6-1. I think
the only thing I'll say is
how many that they were going to get.
Doku.
Haaland didn't even score.
Did he assist either?
They didn't need him to score.
No.
He went off injured at half time.
It was just easy. They just walked through them.
You're saying that's come off Jackson?
And then maybe a surprise result: Sheffield United getting the first win of the season against Wolves as well.
Wolves robbed.
Wolves were robbed, weren't they? Really?
Yeah. It was never a penalty. Never a penalty.
2 weeks in a row that they've had basically the same thing. Obviously, last week it favoured us as Newcastle United fans because we get a penalty, but let's be honest, it wasn't a penalty. Guy kicked the ground
Stonewall. Stonewall, stop being unbiased. You said there was no unbiased.
No, but I'm not being unbiased. But you look at that and you can say, I'm glad we got it, but it wasn't a pen. And,
definitely not.
It was a shame for me this week. He kicks the ground and not the player, but it looks and slow and like real play as if he fell over. And that's just the start of some of the bad.
And he even tried to
this weekend.
He even tried to pull out of it. Like you could see that he was sort of overbalanced. He was doing everything that he could to not touch him, but still did.
It was just like Groundhog Day for them. It was a carbon copy. Yeah. It was pretty much exactly the same penalty that they've conceded as what they did against us. So what wasn't the penalty?
Always hated those penalties where someone's going to
wouldn't get it or something like that. And Gary knew he was just going to blow up.
Always hated those penalties when someone's going to clear the ball and the striker just sort of sneaks up behind him and nicks a touch. I remember one ages ago. Shane Long did it to Martin Skirtle, and it's just. But it's,
and kick them, but when they pull it in time and it still doesn't get noticed in VAR, Wolves have had a hard run the last couple of weeks. Let's just put it that way. Final game of Saturday, obviously, was and the final game for us to talk about is Newcastle beat Arsenal 1-0. Yeah, get it up, please. There is absolutely, obviously, a lot to discuss about this particular game because there was a lot of controversy. So let's just get straight into it. The game was, for me, was kind of defined by the first tackle, and what happened was with the yellow card for Havertz, right? So,
But that's a red
Kyle,
card.
can you bring up the image, the first image we asked you to bring up, which is somebody looking as if they're about to karate kick someone in the kneecaps, and that's obviously the Havertz tackle we're talking about. So I'm just going to, I mean, Mick, what do you see? Red card?
No question. See,
for me, it's a red
card. He's off the floor.
But we're biased.
Both feet are off the floor. He's flew into it. It's reckless. It's dangerous. And he gives a yellow card. And then he books 3 of our players just for saying, well, what you doing? Just for saying...
Yeah. Well, funny, I agree with 2 of those yellow cards because 2 of them went in his face, but Anthony Gordon just stood there in the position he was in anyway and spoke to the guy in like what a normal voice, not even moving his hands about, and still got a yellow card. So I don't understand Gordon's, but I kind of get the other 2 if you go by the letter of the law.
The funny thing is, I seen the video and Lascelles was running over to Havertz and he pushed him and he says, "You try to do him there," and Havertz just stood there and smirked at him. I would have probably slapped him.
There's the biased point of view for 2 Newcastle United fans. So let's get to the non-biased views. I'll start with you, Dave. Red card or not?
Yeah. As you can see from the image, it looks like his studs are going to take his shins off, but it's his trailing leg which actually gets him.
Yeah.
But both feet off the ground. I can see why it could be a red, but I can also see you see plenty of them giving yellows nowadays. But I just can't see why that game was aggressive.
If Longstaff let's say Longstaff fakes the kick and takes a step forward, what happens?
He hits his ankles.
Yeah.
It's a career ender. So Havertz has got no control at that point. If he's in the air, you can't pull your legs away. Ryan, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean it's definite red. It's definite red. Even though like it's the trailing leg that hits him, if you have a look at the whole play, Longstaff's just sort of shepherding the ball out to go out for a throw in like no danger whatsoever. It's not an urgent thing. Havertz is trying to get fired up. He runs from like 20 meters away, and
it's the distance he comes from. It's
a stupid tackle, and you like you say, a couple of inches either way, and he could break his ankle. Mick's about to say that Christian Romero's just been sent off.
Yeah, he's off.
Chelsea, I don't agree with
Chelsea
that.
have a penalty.
He got the goal though. This is the
same
VAR check from the Caicedo goal that just got disallowed. They disallowed the goal but given a penalty.
Oh, dear me.
Oh, it's still going on.
Yeah, VAR.
Yeah. So what I was going to say,
that one, the Havertz one, I don't think the VAR could have necessarily stepped in and said it definitely was. I don't think it was necessarily a VAR call. I just think the ref got it.
Well, it is a VAR call because it's the wrong decision.
Yeah, we've seen things like that get turned over where a sort of innocuous-looking tackle gets slowed down and he's touched his ankle, so therefore it's a red. And I don't see why VAR can overturn that.
Well, every Arsenal fan under the sun disagrees with that opinion because they're all saying it's a yellow. But then you would imagine that because they're biased the other way. The second offence to talk about.
Sorry, Arsenal came in with the mentality and the attitude of, look, we went there last time and we got kicked off the park. We lost. Let's go there and kick them off the park. That's the way Arsenal came. Now, that tackle epitomised that. Now, we turned around and went, all right, you want that? We'll give you it back. They didn't like it. They went a little strong about it.
Again, probably biased, but I
think they probably watched the Newcastle PSG game where, like, people like Dan Burn were going in doing similar tackles, but they were good tackles and they were winning the ball.
Yeah.
And the entire crowd was going up and they ended up playing PSG off the park, and they were hoping to maybe do a bit of that themselves. But I think all it did was just fire Newcastle up more and fire the crowd up. Hard
to do that away though when you've got the crowd behind you because it's that's easier to do it.
I was listening
to
I was listening to another podcast this morning, and a couple of the guys on that described Newcastle as Atletico Tyneside. And it's very similar, sort of, it's a very sort of organised.
We score more goals than them, though.
High intensity.
Well, they're scoring a lot this year, actually.
Are they?
Yeah.
So
it wasn't, it wasn't meant as like a sort of anti-football sort of thing, but it's very much the sort of aggressive, good start from good defense, start from strong challenges, and go from there. Sort of play that Atletico Madrid do.
Yeah.
So anyway, the second defense, I don't think. I'm not sure actually what you all think.
I will give my unbiased.
The Bruno red card. Should Bruno have walked for the forearm in the head?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I think
it's clear as day.
He ended up getting booked towards the end of the match, didn't he, for a hand in the face? But I think that could have been like his 5th yellow card over the course.
Yeah,
of the
but
match,
he never even. Yeah. He didn't even hit his face. It was like his chest towards his neck kind of thing. But
like he put, before.
I don't even know if that
the
was
elbow.
He should have been off, so it doesn't matter.
Before the elbow, he put him in sort of a dodgy challenge, and then right on half time there was like a spare ball on the pitch, and he booted it at an Arsenal
player. Right, but the dodgy challenge he put in, he goes 2 feet, he slides in the ground, but he's 3 feet away from the attacker, so it's not like anywhere near him, and he's in control because he's sliding in the ground. He's not in the air, so I don't think that was that bad. But at the end of the day, he should have got sent off for when he tried to wrestle somebody. So
he elbows Jorginho in the head. That's a red card.
That's a
then there was an instant where he just ran into the back of him and pushed him over.
Yeah, that was a yellow for me as well.
That was a yellow.
Yeah,
then there was the booting the ball off an Arsenal player. There's another yellow card.
Well, that could have been a yellow card for Havertz as well, though, at that point, because he was blocking him taking the free kick. But apparently, nobody got done for that because there was 2 balls on the pitch. So basically, nothing happened.
Oh, 2-1 Chelsea.
It's not.
Interesting.
No, sorry.
So we all agree anyway that was a red card for Bruno. But what I will say is he would never have been as het up as that if the Havertz challenge hadn't went in like it did in the first place. I'm not saying that excuses it, but you can't have one without the other.
The ref lost control of the game, and Bruno sort of lost his head a little bit.
He just let it get too physical.
Yeah,
and that's the reason some people have went to the next part, which we're going to talk about, which is the goal, sort of on-goal that happened. So, just quickly going to go through your opinions, and then we'll break it down. Mick, goal or not goal?
I'm half and half. The ball's not out of play. For a start, they're going on for 3 falls. The ball was out of play. It was a push by Joelinton, and Gordon was offside. The ball wasn't out of play. Now it looks from one angle it is, but you've got to think of the spear of the ball. That was not out of play. The push is the only thing that I'm thinking maybe. As soon as you put 2 hands on the back of a player, you are running the risk of getting an away foul. I don't care. Saliba was already dipping down because he was going to try and flick the ball away before Joelinton put his hands on him. But you still run that risk when you put your hands on the back. So if that goal had been disallowed for that, I wouldn't have complained.
Yeah.
Gordon offside? No, he's behind the ball when it's after it's hit Joelinton. You can't be offside if he's behind the ball.
I think they couldn't prove who it hit as well, and whether it had hit whether it had hit Gabriel first. So if they can't prove it, they can't do anything with that one as well. So it all comes down to whether it's a foul. So for you, you're 50-50. Dave, would you
going to say no foul?
You're going to say no foul.
50-50 as well. You're seeing given all the time as fouls, but I don't know. Yeah, either way.
I'm just going to say no because I don't like Arsenal anymore.
A new rivalry is born.
When did you ever like Arsenal? Who does that?
Born at the moment, that's true. Ryan, was it you? Was it a push? Was it okay?
I'm going to say, screw you guys. It was definitely not a goal. It was definitely a foul from Joelinton.
Yeah, Ryan. Come on, Ryan.
I kind of have to agree with Ryan. I do struggle. I do struggle. This is my point of view. See if that happened to Newcastle, I'd be caught, and I know that's biased, right? But I'd be shouting from the rooftops that was a foul, and I'd be doing my dinger because of that. So I can totally understand the point of view. But at the end of the day, it was given, and that's that. Arsenal lost. First game that they've
Suck it up.
I've got to say,
did they deserve anything from the game though? Really?
Yeah, they conceded that goal, and it probably shouldn't be given, but they did absolutely nothing themselves anyway.
Yeah,
I can't think of a single chance they had.
They said we never had any chances, but Wilson had the chance that he put over the bar, and Gordon had the chance that he kind of lost his feet on a little bit. So I think we did have a couple of chances, but no.
The only notable shot they had was Martinelli's, and it went straight down Pope's throat.
Yeah,
because
we defended well against them. You know, they didn't have Odegaard, so we concentrated in defending both wings because that's where the creativity was, and they just didn't have Odegaard to do it in the middle.
Mark Saka and Martinelli out of the game, and Arsenal are knackered. They've got nothing.
Yeah, they didn't have anybody creating anything. So, you know, it worked. But, you know, obviously the controversy did not end because after the game, Mikel Arteta... Well, actually, let's take a listen to it. Kyle, if you can bring up the video showing Mikel Arteta's interview after the game, please.
The way we played, and we didn't deserve to lose the match playing in the run, and then we didn't lose the match because of the clear and obvious decisions. It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace. That's what it is, a disgrace.
Will you be taking this up with PGMOL?
Yeah, we've been taking it for many months. There's so much at stake. We put so many hours. I'm here to represent the football club and to get my team to compete at the highest level. The margin is so small. It's a disgrace. It's embarrassing. That's how I feel.
Sorry, I'm watching the match.
Because I can't see anything.
It's an absolute stuff, isn't it, mate?
Stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what Mikel Arteta thought of that one. So, you know, obviously, a bit of comedy aside, we've not took the actual video and we're adding a few tears in there. That's just our little kind of, or somebody else's joke that we've absolutely ripped off them from Twitter. But, you know, hey, that's how the world works. So, you know, what do you guys actually think of Arteta's reaction?
It's unusual behaviour from him. Yeah, you never really see him react like that. So he's feeling the pressure now, I think. It is very unusual.
He gets overly emotional on the side of the pitch. Maybe not in his interviews, but he kind of gets overly emotional on the side of the pitch a lot of the time, though.
I thought it was quite funny, Jacob Murphy calling him Lego head. But I think that interview was over the top.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think, you know, I know, you know, me and Dave are saying like it was definitely a foul, but it is, you know, there were three or four different things to check, and each one of them could have gone either way. You know, it wasn't as bad as say like the Liverpool Spurs one a few weeks ago, where it was blatantly just everything had gone wrong and the process had failed and all that sort of thing. It was
objectively wrong.
Yeah,
you know.
Whereas these were all sort of these were all subjective decisions, and yeah, we might say that they got them wrong, but I don't think it was that bad. And equally, he's talking about the standard of officiating, and if he genuinely cared about that, he'd call out the fact that Havertz should have got sent off as well. I know no manager in the history of has ever done that, but if they're all serious about it, you want to give your point a bit of extra weight. You go, well, Havertz shouldn't be on, and say just the ref had an all-round awful game, but instead it just looks like he's whining because his team conceded a goal.
It's funny though, because
all the controversy aside, it was awful defending from Arsenal for that goal. They just completely switched off and let it in, and
it's funny though, because like after that Liverpool Spurs game and the goal disallowed, Arteta actually came out and said, well, mistakes happen, you've got to support the referees, and then he goes and does this when a mistake happens.
Because there's no emotion when it's not your team.
Yeah.
Is there? Yeah. And that's the point.
That's an Arsenal manager defending Spurs, though, isn't it? It's an Arsenal manager defending Spurs. That's weird in itself. Like, if you can do that, why can't you say that Havertz should have been sent off?
Exactly. That's what I mean. No one ever will. They'll only ever back up their own team because they're raging because they lost the game or it cost them points. It's just a purely emotional reaction, and it was the same when Klopp asked for a replay. You know what I mean? Like, right, okay. I mean, it was an awful decision, but asking for a replay was just stupid. And then Liverpool put out a statement, and now Arsenal have put out a statement as well, backing up Mikel Arteta. Why do they need to put out these statements?
No,
you know, they've been talking about it non-stop for the last couple of days on all the different networks, and everybody's saying it's a complete overreaction from Arsenal.
And I think as well, you know, there are some decisions that, you know, you could maybe disagree with or contest, but every single week, it does feel like a single VAR decision gets picked out. And that's all we've got to talk about for the week. and
usually the bigger teams.
And it's actually, you know, if you look at it sort of in the cold light of day, it's actually not that big a decision. You know, there's very few really blatantly bad ones like the Liverpool Spurs one. Speaking of Spurs, they've lost both their centre backs now. So Romero's been sent off, and Van de Ven's gone off injured.
2 people sent off.
So
Van de Ven.
No, he's done his hamstring.
He's been great this season. By the way, he's been one of the signings of the season so far.
So they brought Dyer on when Romero got sent off. They're bringing on Emerson Royal and Højbjerg now, so that's going to be interesting to see what.
He's took Maddison off.
Oh,
that's a strange one. Maybe he's got some sort of knock or something like that as
Well,
well.
they're quite set.
Yeah, a couple of minutes ago.
You know, it's kind of time that Spurs did get a few injuries. We were kind of talking about this earlier on, because our team, the other team just seems to be absolutely plagued by injuries, and so far Spurs just haven't had any as the season went on.
Because they're now being stretched.
To them, but
they haven't played anybody. They've played nobody.
That's probably a factor. Well, that's not true, Mick. That's not true. I don't.
They've only played. They've only played Liverpool and Arsenal.
Liverpool. No, right. So that's two of the teams that's in the current top 4.
Yeah, but that's
so
it.
Outside of Man City, who's bigger to play?
Newcastle.
They've played United as well.
We're not talking about mid-table teams.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that, but I mean, like, to me, that wasn't an impressive victory for them. I'm just being honest. It was kind of like the way they were playing. I expected that to happen, but
that was during my football blackout, so I got no comments on that actually.
Right, okay. But you know, they are playing quite well, and I guess that gets us to kind of discussing the league table a wee bit, and you know where we are at the moment. Kel, if you can bring up the kind of league table that we've got at the moment. So, as I said, we've got a top 4 there: City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Spurs. Does anybody think any of those 4 will not finish in the top 4 this year?
Spurs, if they get
I
some
was about
injuries,
to say, depends what this injury does.
I think as well they're going to lose. They're going to lose their 2 best players in January and February as well, Son and Basuma.
I think
Spurs will be interesting to see how they cope with that.
So you think they'll
struggle
as the season goes on?
They've got 1 game a week to the end of the season, apart from the FA Cup. So
that's what I was going to say. Though they're out the League Cup already, so even when they get injuries, you know, it's not as they can still play the strongest 11 for 90 minutes every game. You know, so I don't know. I think he's done well. I could see them. Yeah, you know, it'd be very hard for anyone to catch them.
They play
and get them out
brilliantly,
of
definitely.
That top 4.
That's probably the only team that would say
you think the other 3 will?
Yeah.
I mean, let's not even discuss Man City, because you know, if they don't win it, it'll be a shock. But they're definitely getting top 4 no matter what. Is there? If we look at the next couple of places in the table, it's like Villa and Newcastle, right? I could kind of see that being where the 2 of them end up, but hopefully us ahead of them in the Champions League spot. But you know what I mean?
Villa, I haven't really been resting players much, really, have they? Even in Europe.
I think as well, I
think they were trying to get through first, and then they'll rest the players once they're going.
Yeah, but Newcastle's injury list's ridiculous.
Because we've factor, though. That is going to catch up with us eventually.
Yeah. It really is.
I think as well, if Villa are still in Europe in April, they're going to focus on that, and you know they could drop a few points in the league because they. I
guess they could, you know, get into the Champions League that way as well. But,
no, they get into the Europa League because they're in.
Because they're conference. Yeah, that doesn't really help them much, does it?
I think. Yeah, I mean, I think they. You know, you'd hope they'd value winning a trophy over qualifying for the Champions League because they're not.
The fans will anyway.
Yeah, they're not a Champions League team yet. Definitely, if they, you know. So you'd think
well-backed, rich team, plenty of money to spend. They get into the Champions League, their budget goes up, and remember they're still spending the Grealish money in terms of they're not pressed for FFP.
But you know, if they because all you know, the whole thing is the high line that they play, and when it comes off, it's great. But if not, they get destroyed, and that's happening against Forest. You know, picture that against like Bayern Munich or Real Madrid. They're just going to get destroyed. They're not ready for that yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You would have said the same about us last year, and sometimes you just have to take it when it comes, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
where do you think Man United will finish?
I think
genuinely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be in the European places in some ways. I almost hope we sort of do a Spurs and fall out of the European places and just really properly reset.
I don't
have
think
some time week to
week
week to actually
do
get
use
some.
any favour.
Yeah,
I have to say.
Yeah.
Could you really imagine Man U without European football?
Well, yeah, it happened after
yeah,
the Moyes season.
Yeah.
I know that, but still, it's just.
But it'll probably end up meaning. This is a bit idea. But it'll probably end up meaning Ten Hag loses his job. But I would like to see what he could do with 3 weeks that Ange Postecoglou's got at Spurs at the minute, and actually, somebody upstairs looking after all the off the pitch stuff. Let him actually just be on the training ground for a bit and see what he can do. But he's not going to be given that time. If we fall out of Europe, he'll get sacked.
We don't want Ten Hag to lose his job. Yeah. He's doing great.
From our point of view, but I can kind of understand the Man United point of view, and as like we've done this before though, so why just do the same thing? We know where this road goes.
And there's no one.
There's
no one out there that's sort of itching to take
Steve
the job.
Steve Bruce is available, right? Good family man.
Anyone would be lucky to have him. Anyone would be lucky
to have such an experienced man. 1,000 games in football he's managed,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Dave, Chelsea, where do you start? I mean, this could be the start of your season tonight, but where do you actually see Chelsea finishing up this year?
Oh, last time we played against a team who had 10 men, we lost 3-1, so I'm not getting my hopes up. How do you predict where Chelsea end up? They're all over the place. We haven't been helped with injuries. We've had pretty much first bad injuries since the beginning, especially who everyone's looking forward to on Nkunku, so everybody's just thinking as soon as he comes back, that's all our problems solved. But Chelsea never been able to finish since like Costa's gone.
He's not really a main. He's not like a centre forward doing.
He's more of a second striker. Yeah.
I forgot you had him.
Still need a number 9, don't you?
I guess the difference between Chelsea and United at the minute is like you can see how Chelsea want to play. They just haven't got someone to put it away.
Finish it.
Whereas United are very much.
Team's all 22, so they don't have any experience.
United are very much
players when they grow up.
Yeah.
There's things that Ten Hag wants to do with United, but I think it's like I said, he's fighting fires. So all of the tactics have all gone out the window. Like he brought in Onana to be able to play out from the back and all that sort of thing, but he got lobbed a couple of times in pre-season, so Onana's got to stay on his line now rather than play as a third centre-back like he was.
Which kind of is whatever they expected him to come in and do, isn't it?
Yeah. Martinez and Shaw, who are also really important in the build-up, apart from being really good defenders, they weren't great at the start of the season, and they've been injured for, 3 months now and not due back anytime soon. So, but, Chelsea sort of, you can see what they're trying to do.
Injuries are crazy this year. Yeah. It can't be denied. For all our teams are suffering, and obviously we've lost one to a betting addiction as well. But add that on to the injuries as well. And we seem to every game we have, there's someone else away today. Dan Burn out for several months. Murphy out for I don't know how long. Target out for several months as well. So basically lost our both first and second choice left backs.
Sorry, we've got a little
swallow. Okay. We have another. So, it's all good. I mean, who's winning the title? Does anybody get a chance to beat City?
Yeah, it's going to be
I don't think anybody's good enough to beat them.
There's only one team that I think might challenge, and that's probably Liverpool.
They're playing in a few weeks, I think.
Go on some run.
Yeah. They're playing at the end of the month, so that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, if they beat them and they get some momentum, Liverpool are capable of doing it. I just don't. I think Arsenal are good, but I just don't think they're quite title challengers yet.
I don't think they're as good as last season,
which is crazy when you consider the money they've spent.
Yeah,
but 60-odd million that went in Havertz, so.
I mean, really, he should be stepping up and doing what Odegaard does when Odegaard's not there. Like I know they're trying him out in different roles, but at the bare minimum, that's what he should be doing.
Yeah, instead
never done it for Chelsea either. Yeah, he's out there playing as a hard tackling midfielder instead.
Trying to be Granit Xhaka.
What about the relegation? Does anybody think that it's not going to be the bottom three that are going to be the three that come up?
Well, Luton the 17th at the moment. So
I say Luton might.
I think they will go down.
November.
If they can have I don't know, if Luton can have a few more nights like last night in terms of getting the crowd fired up, they might be able to survive. Because Bournemouth are a bit nothing. Like Luton have at least, they're not very good, but they've got something about them. Whereas like Bournemouth and Burnley,
the only other option. Like if one of them miraculously survives, is Bournemouth the only candidate? I think so. I don't see anyone else.
It's really, last year we had half the league could have gone down, but it's not the same this year.
No, it's so far.
It's a shame because Everton are 16th. I would like them to go down. But
they play good foot. They're playing pretty well. They're just not finishing the chances.
Right?
Yeah.
They're going to. What you think is they're a team that are going to beat the teams around them and lower than them and stuff like that, because they play percentage football. They're not going to go and get smashed 3-1 off Luton or something like that. It's just not how they play. But
Luton might start pulling away next weekend as well because they're playing United on Saturday. So.
Oh well, there's an easy 3 points for them.
It's at Old Trafford, so it's nailed on.
Yeah, it's not. They are one of the worst teams in the league. Honestly, I don't know how they beat Wolves because they're rubbish.
Aren't Everton going to get a 12-point deduction?
I I forgot about that.
Yeah,
even then, I don't know.
Imagine though, like how long Everton have now survived by the skin of their teeth every season. Imagine this is the year they get a 12-point deduction, and there's still 3 teams working them, and they stay up. That would. I mean, I think Everton.
The bigger question is: are Sheffield United going to beat Derby's record of the worst?
Oh no, that's going to be too hard to beat. We say every year. I mean,
they were on track until they beat Wolves, I think, but. I think it'll be close.
Do you remember when Newcastle were on for that? And now look.
Was that? It was in the same season that we.
It was the same season.
When Bruce left, and then suddenly.
Well, we were lower than at that point. No one had ever survived from that point when basically Bruce left and Howe came in, and yet we finished 10th. Look at what's happened since then.
And Champions League.
Just build a statue. Talking about Champions League. We have got some games this is the last time we're going to talk about this episode. A few games for English teams this week. We've got on Tuesday we've got Dortmund versus Newcastle. Obviously Dortmund won at St James's Park. Sucks, but they did. So we're playing them away, and then we've got City and Young Boys. They'll just win that, so there's nothing much to talk about. So what about
that's
Dortmund,
men against Young Boys.
Newcastle? It really is. So what about the Dortmund-Newcastle game, though? Predictions, Mick?
We could be playing a wounded animal. They've just got an absolute hiding of Bayern Munich. So
by Harry the Kaiser Kane.
Excuse me. Might want to make a statement after losing.
But didn't they take a hiding before they came to St James's Park as well?
Yeah, they had a bad result before that as well, and then they played really well on the day.
And they probably deserved that win as well against us at St James's.
I think we're good enough.
It's going to be hard. I think we could do with the win. I'd snatch your hands off for the draw.
Yeah, I think would as well. Yeah.
Are you guys expecting to be Europa, or where do you expect to finish in the group?
When the draw was made, I would have snapped your hands off for Europa. I really would have, and I'll still take that now.
Yeah,
I would as well. I think
it's been a really sort of, it's been a really sort of topsy-turvy group as well. I think Milan are the only team who are like properly cut adrift at the minute, aren't they?
Group of death, these things happen. Every game is a tough one. Yeah, so I don't know. I expected us to go through. So
yeah, I think given your injuries up front, the midfield will have played 3 games in a week. Callum Wilson can't really do that either.
No.
I
think Dortmund will probably beat Newcastle.
Fair play.
I think if we play a false 9, Gordon in a false 9, that stops that Schlotterbeck coming into midfield.
I don't know, but we don't have the wingers to. They're all injured as well.
But I can't say.
I just can't see. I just don't think we've got with the injuries we've got. I just don't think we're going to. Champions League's just a bridge too far for us this season. If we kept everybody fit to this point, we could rotate maybe, but nah. What about your mob against Copenhagen?
I think we'll scrape another ugly 1-0. To be honest, it's going to be interesting to see. It just kind of
feels like it will happen, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see whether Maguire plays that game or whether Varane comes back in, because Varane's been on the bench but not playing. And Maguire's been playing all right when he has been in, even though we've shipped goals. He's not done like, he's not been calamitous like Maguire normally is, or is sort of reputed to be. And obviously, he was. It's going to be a struggle. So we've got 3 points at the minute because we beat Copenhagen in the last round. Hopefully, we'll beat Copenhagen again, but we've got to go to Galatasaray and go to Munich, and we're not going to get anything out of those 2 games. So I think it's probably dropped down to the Europa League for us as well.
Fair play. Arsenal, Sevilla, I don't know, hard one. Anybody get any thoughts on that?
I am probably Arsenal.
Arsenal have been on at the same time as United, so I've got no idea how they're getting on in the Champions League, to be honest.
I think did they not beat Sevilla last time?
Yeah.
And I think they had a big win against PSV as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine. I don't think it's a particularly tricky group. Yeah. And Sevilla have got to drop down to the Europa League to knock United out. So.
Well, guys, that kind of takes us to the end of the show. We will be covering those. We'll be on next week as well, covering the weekend's fixtures. Plus, we'll look over the results and see if we were right or wrong in what we said about the Champions League. I've been Cam, that's been Dave, that's been Mick, and that's been Ryan. Once again, please leave us, since this is the first video on the channel, please leave us a like and subscribe. Start subscribing. We'll try and get more of these out. We will be covering on the Genreverse Sports channel. We will be starting to cover some other sports as well, not just football or soccer, as you Americans might call it as well. So that's basically us. We'll see you next week. We'll just leave you with one final little video. We've been talking about how bad refereeing has been in the English Premier League, but at least we don't have someone actually rugby tackling one of the other players out the road in order to score a goal. So we'll leave you with a video and we'll see you next week. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.
Raposo's ball in over the top of Takaoka, and Schoff just got taken out there by the referee on the edge of the box as the ball was coming to him. Vanni Sartini cannot believe it. LAFC are racing forward with Carlos Vela. Buanga is to his left. It's Denny Buanga in an open net. Takaoka was up for the set piece, and the Whitecaps are furious with referee Tim Ford. Vanni Sartini is on the pitch. He cannot believe what he has just seen. The referee took out the Whitecaps player who was about to strike the ball. He's now showing yellow cards to the complaining Vancouver players. For LAFC and for Denny Buanga, it's 2 goals on the night, and it's a path through to the semi-finals in the West. I've never seen anything like that.